Hello there, in this video we're going to talk about Mongolia. Mongolia is an Eastern Asian country located between Russia and China, mostly known for its land with sea of grass, nomadic lifestyle, and of course one of the most well-known historical figures, Genghis Khan from the 12th century. Have you ever wondered what kinds of food Mongolians used to eat in the Mongol Empire era? You might have guessed right, meats and dairies. They are still commonly consumed in modern Mongolia. However, in the 21st century, we eat other kinds of food from totally different cultures, including foods you guys eat and drink almost every day. For example, foods like burgers, pizza, spaghetti, and drinks like sodas, coffees, and fancy cocktails. But first, let us introduce you to the traditional food we eat and also explain why we still eat to this day, just to give you a basic idea of Mongolian diet. Mongolians have been nomads since the first time ever we got recorded in the human history. Since we are the nomads who never liked to settle down in one place for more than one season, our diet has been heavily dependent on livestock that we can travel with and also that are self-sufficient like cows, sheep, and goats. Even after many revolutions and cultural changes, there are many Mongolians who still live in a nomadic lifestyle. In fact, current meat and dairy supplies in Mongolia are heavily dependent on the livestock those people raise and produce.
Let me handle this part. Authentic Mongolian diet mostly consists of two things. Firstly, there are various kinds of meat, including mutton, goat, beef, and horse meat, but we only eat horse meat in desperate situations. Sometimes we hunt marmot and other wild animals to consume as well. Secondly, our diet is full of dairy products such as clotted cream, sour cream, cheese, and yogurt. Also, there are some Mongolian cuisines with vegetables that grow in short seasons, such as spring onion and many types of herbs. But in modern Mongolia, our food variety has increased and became more balanced. Wheat products are now one of the main foods that we consume daily. Ever since the Industrial Revolution has stepped in Mongolia in the mid-1920s, we have started to grow our own rice, wheat, and import various kinds of wheat products from outside of the country. Now there is no single household that doesn't eat any wheat products such as pastas, noodles, and breads. For vegetables, the same as wheat, we now grow them on our soil and import for many kinds of veggies from outside. Our main veggies are potatoes, carrots, and cabbages, but of course we still eat lots of meat. Mutton and beef are the main meat we consume. However, as foreign culture has gotten more and more popular here, consumption of pork and chicken has also increased, and even for some households these are their main meat to eat. So you could say that our food culture has finally caught up to other countries.
Speaking of catching up, the food industry in Mongolia is not only the industry that is also catching up to the global standard. The type of careers and jobs of the Mongolian people have been also catching up to the world. Especially during the last decade, most popular job here has changed. So let us talk about the popular job types in Mongolia. Our land has tons of natural resources such as coal, gold, copper, and uranium that is literally could fund every industry of our country, which will contribute to the development of our country enormously. This also means that there are many job spots and business opportunities centering on those natural resources. That is why our economic growth had started in an exponential rate in early 2010s. Around this time, one of the most popular professions here were engineers, like mining engineer, electronic engineer, and mechanical engineers, etc. There were many young aspiring students who wanted to be engineers because it was almost guaranteed that you would be able to land a job. It may have sounded strange to you guys, but it is what it is back then, even though it might seem a bit odd.
I will take it from here. However, nowadays, this trend has shifted to other industry, just like how our food industry has been catching up. Our job trend has also been catching up. What is currently the most in demand and popular job in the Mongolian, you may ask? I think we all know the answer. Software developers/programmers. This trend is finally flying in Mongolia. Currently, according to BizNetwork.mn, the most prodigious job hunting site in Mongolia, software developers and all other professions that are related to this area are one of the most popular professions, especially during the pandemic. Many organizations from public service to retail stores have started to implement online services. Many online businesses have started to boom here, which also is increasing the demand of these professions. But this doesn't mean all students want to become software developers, as we know. Engineers are still very popular professions, and there are lawyers, economists, doctors, and nurses. All other essential professions are still popular professions, just like every other country. So what we want to say is that a decade ago, the job trend in Mongolia was all about engineers. However, nowadays, IT-related professions have become the most popular job type, which is a great advancement for Mongolia.
Mongolia is surely catching up to the other countries, but did you know Mongolia was once the leader nation of the world? I think it's common knowledge around the world that Mongolia once ruled half of the world under Genghis Khan, one of the most well-known historical figures in the history. For this last segment of the video, we want you guys to learn about inventions of Mongolia and their contribution towards globalization, and maybe convince you guys that Mongolians were not just the barbarians back then. Genghis Khan, you may all know, is considered one of the most powerful kings in the man's history. Sadly, many people only know him as a tyrannical barbarian who left nothing but a trail of bloodshed and destruction. But before Genghis Khan, Mongolia was divided into many countries, and the other countries such as India, Korea, Russia, and Middle Eastern countries did not really have much of interaction. However, there are many experts who say that he was the father of the globalization, since he united most of the Eurasia and bridged the eastern countries and the western countries, which allowed them to conduct cultural exchange in the end, which also could say that Mongolians unintentionally invented globalization. In addition, even after Genghis Khan, from the 13th century to 15th century, Mongolia had contributed with cultural, technological, historical inventions which further accelerated the globalization. In fact, astronomy, medicine, engineering, and mathematics, many scientific fields, exploded in the Mongolian Empire era. It won't just stop at the science. There were also huge developments in the art, literature, and the sculpture.
Yeah, cool, right? So as we stated before, Genghis Khan, who was the father of the globalization era, is not just a bluff as it might sound. From Eastern Asia to Middle East, the Mongol Empire spread widely, and an important consequence of this expansion was the creation of the Silk Road, which was a crucial economic route that connected the countries of Europe with the farthest corners of Asia. Mongols carried new inventions back and forth through Eurasia, and many of them eventually found their way into Europe. Now it makes a bit more sense, right? One of Mongolia's biggest physical inventions, beside bows and arrows, was metal stirrups. We all know what stirrup is, don't we? A stirrup is a thing that holds the foot of a rider attached to the saddle by a strap. It is not sure when stirrup was invented at first, but it is certain that the invention of the stirrup revolutionized any military that used it. Metal stirrups allowed Mongolian riders incomparable mobility, stability, and balance, thus giving them a great advantage in any fight they fought, which meant it allowed Mongolians to stay on their horses while in combat. Some believe that the stirrup even shifted the balance of power in Europe from foot soldiers to mounted knights. Stirrups have evolved immensely since the time of Genghis Khan. The basic design is still the same, but new variations are kept being added even now to make it more comfortable and suitable.
It won't just end here, there are many more great inventions that Mongolia has created, and we need whole new video just to touch the surface. Okay, so what do you think about Mongolia now? Has this video been able to change your perspective of Mongolia? Please let us know. And thank you for watching our humble video.